We'll match your contribution dollar for dollar, sweetheart, that's a promise. My future mother-in-law Diane's voice echoed in my memory as I sat alone in the $800 a night honeymoon suite at 11:47 p.m. My wedding dress still on, mascara running down my face while I stared at the Maldives resort booking on my laptop, $18,000, non-refundable. Departure 9 a.m. tomorrow for a honeymoon meant for two people who supposedly just married for love. But my hand hovered over the cancel reservation button because the groom, my husband of exactly 7 hours, was currently downstairs at our reception, slow dancing with his ex-girlfriend Vanessa while his entire family pretended I didn't exist, and I was finally understanding that their matching contribution never meant money at all. Was I really about to cancel an $18,000 honeymoon, walk away from a marriage that cost me $64,000, and leave my husband of 7 hours before we even spent our wedding night together? Let me back up and explain how I became the woman who paid for her entire wedding while her husband's family watched, smiled, and contributed absolutely nothing except humiliation. I met Kyle Hendricks 18 months ago at a charity gala in Newport Beach, California. He was charming, successful a financial advisor at a prestigious firm, and he pursued me relentlessly. I was a pediatric dentist with my own practice, financially independent, 32 years old, and admittedly lonely after focusing on my career for years. Kyle seemed perfect, attentive, romantic, always saying the right things, when he proposed after 8 months a surprise dinner at Nobu. Ring hidden in the dessert, I cried happy tears and said yes immediately. That's when I met his family. The Hendricks lived in a sprawling estate in Orange County. Old California money from commercial real estate. Kyle's father, Robert, was semi-retired. His mother, Diane, was a socialite who spent her days at country clubs and charity luncheons. His sister, Bethany, was a yoga instructor married to a tech executive. They were warm at first, welcoming. Diane hugged me and called me daughter. Robert shook my hand and said I was exactly what Kyle needed. Then we started planning the wedding. We want something intimate, I suggested at our first family planning dinner. Maybe 80 guests, a nice restaurant venue, keep it elegant but reasonable. Diane laughed like I'd told a joke. Darling, the Hendricks don't do intimate. We have 200 people on our list alone. Family, friends, business associates, people we simply must invite. That's fine, I said, trying to be accommodating. Kyle and I can each invite our people, and we'll split the costs. About that, Robert interrupted, swirling his scotch. Traditionally, the bride's family pays for the wedding. I blinked. Actually, traditionally, costs are usually shared now. Kyle and I both have careers, of course. Of course, Diane said quickly. We'll contribute. But darling, you make quite good money with your practice, don't you? Kyle mentioned you clear $300,000 annually. I glanced at Kyle. He'd told them my income. He gave me an apologetic shrug. I do well, I said carefully, but $300,000 gross is different from net, after expenses, taxes, student loans. Oh, we're not asking you to fund it alone. Diane patted my hand. We'll match your contribution dollar for dollar, whatever you put in. We'll match. Fair, it sounded fair, reasonable, even, okay. I agreed. I can probably contribute $30,000, $35,000 comfortably. Diane's smile tightened slightly. Darling, for 300 guests, the venues we're looking at start at $50,000 just for the space. Then there's catering, florals, photography, the dress, the band. My stomach dropped. 300 guests. The Hendricks have standards. Audrienne, this wedding reflects on our family name. Robert's tone was firm. We need the right venue, the right vendors, the right everything, over the next 3 months. I watched the budget spiral completely out of control. The venue Diane insisted on, $58,000. The florist she absolutely had to have, $12,000. The photographer her friend's son, $8,000. The band another family connection, $15,000. My dress Diane took me to a boutique where the cheapest option was $8,000, $11,000, catering for 300 guests, $45,000, open bar, $18,000, every time I suggested a less expensive option. Diane had a reason why it wouldn't work. That venue isn't suitable for our guest list. That florist did the Wilson wedding, and it looked cheap. We can't serve buffet style. What will people think? Kyle was useless. Just let my mom handle it, babe. She knows what she's doing. But Kyle. We're over $60,000 now. When are your parents contributing their half? They will, don't worry. My dad's just waiting for the right time to transfer funds. That right time never came. 2 weeks before the wedding, I'd paid $64,000 in deposits and final payments. The Hendricks had paid zero. I confronted Kyle in his apartment. Your parents haven't contributed anything. We're 2 weeks out. They're liquid poor right now, he explained. Some investments are tied up. They'll pay you back after the wedding. That's not what we agreed. Your mother said they'd match dollar for dollar. They will, Audrienne. God, why are you being so materialistic about this? It's our wedding day, isn't that what matters? I should have called it off right then, should have seen the red flags waving frantically, but I'd already paid $60,000. Invitations were sent, my family had booked flights from across the country. And I loved Kyle, or I thought I did, the morning of the wedding. I was getting ready with my bridesmaids when Diane knocked on the bridal suite door. Darling, you look beautiful. She kissed my cheek. I wanted to give you something. She handed me a small box. Inside was a simple pearl bracelet. It's lovely, I said, genuinely touched. It was my mother's. I wanted you to have it. Your family now. She smiled warmly. And Audrienne. About our contribution to the wedding. Finally, yes, Robert and I talked. We realize we promised to match your financial contribution. But we've decided our contribution is emotional support, guidance, and welcoming you into our family. That's worth more than money, don't you think? I stared at her. You're joking, sweetheart. You make excellent money. You can afford this. We're giving you something money can't buy. Our blessing, our family name. Our social connections, that's our gift. You promised to match $64,000. We're matching emotionally, she said firmly. Now, I need to go check on the flowers. We'll see you at the ceremony. She swept out, leaving me standing there in my $11,000 dress. Realizing I'd been scammed by my own future in-laws, my maid of honor, Sierra, had overheard everything. Audrienne, you don't have to go through with this. But what choice did I have? Cancel a $64,000 wedding to us before it started. I walked down that aisle feeling numb. Kyle's smile seemed different, suddenly less loving. More relieved that I'd shown up. The ceremony was beautiful. I'm told, I barely remember it, the reception was where everything completely fell apart. First, I noticed the seating chart. I'd specifically created it, putting my family and friends at prominent tables. Someone had changed it. My parents were at table 18, near the bathrooms. Kyle's ex-girlfriend Vanessa, who was not on the guest list, was at table 3, right next to the dance floor. Kyle, why is Vanessa here? I hissed as we walked into the reception. My mom invited her. They're close. I didn't think you'd mind. Your ex-girlfriend is at our wedding, and you didn't think I'd mind. Babe, she's part of my life. You need to be secure enough to handle that. Secure enough? At my own wedding? Then came the bouquet toss. I'd been dreading it, such an outdated tradition, but Diane insisted. I threw the bouquet, deliberately aiming away from Vanessa. She dove across to other women and caught it, holding it up triumphantly while Kyle's entire family cheered. My family looked confused and uncomfortable. The photographer Diane's friend's son took about 200 photos of Vanessa with that bouquet, with Kyle's family, with Kyle. Speaking of photos, I noticed he was barely photographing me. When I asked for some bride and groom portraits, he sighed like I was inconveniencing him. We'll get to it. We never did, but he took dozens of Vanessa laughing with Diane. Vanessa dancing with Kyle's father, Vanessa adjusting Kyle's boutonniere while they laughed about some inside joke. Then came the slow dances. Kyle and I had our first dance perfectly choreographed, perfectly performed, perfectly empty. I smiled for the cameras while feeling absolutely nothing. Afterward, the DJ announced the groom would like to share a special dance with someone who has been important in his life, Vanessa Morrison. I watched, frozen, as my husband of 3 hours took his ex-girlfriend's hand and led her to the dance floor. They swayed to their song. He'd told me once, casually, that it was just a song we liked. Now I understood it had been their song. Diane caught my expression and leaned over. Don't be insecure, dear. Kyle and Vanessa have history. You should be mature enough to share him for one dance. Share him at my wedding. My father approached, his face red with anger. Audrienne, what the hell is going on? I don't know. Dad, do you want to leave? We can leave right now. I'll call a lawyer Monday morning. I almost said yes, but I looked around at the $64,000 wedding I'd paid for, the 300 guests eating $150 per plate dinners, the elaborate florals, and crystal chandeliers and designer cake, and I felt paralyzed by the sunk cost fallacy. The final straw came around 10 p.m. I was sitting at the head table, exhausted and emotionally destroyed. Scrolling through my phone to escape, Instagram was exploding with wedding posts, but none of them tagged me. #Hendrix wedding was trending in our social circle, hundreds of photos. Kyle looked happy in all of them. Vanessa appeared in 60% of them. I appeared in maybe 20%, the bride, and my own wedding, a side character in someone else's story. One post from Kyle's cousin, beautiful wedding. Kyle and Vanessa looked so happy dancing together. #Hendrix wedding, #second chances exist. Another from a family friend, lovely ceremony. Though I'm confused who the bride was. #Hendrix wedding, my hands were shaking. Kyle was across the room, laughing with Vanessa and his groomsmen. Diane was showing people pictures on her phone, pictures of Kyle and Vanessa. I stood up and walked out. Nobody noticed. Which brought me to 11:47 p.m. in the honeymoon suite, staring at the Maldives reservation, $18,000 for 12 days at a luxury resort, flights departing in less than 12 hours, to tickets. One for me, one for the husband who was still downstairs at our reception. Probably still dancing with his ex. My laptop showed the cancellation policy, 50% refund if cancelled more than 48 hours in advance. 0 refund now. So I'd lose $18,000 if I cancelled, or I'd spend $18,000 on a honeymoon with a man who'd let his family humiliate me, who'd allowed his ex-girlfriend to hijack our wedding, who'd watched me pay $64,000 while his parents contributed emotional support. My phone buzzed. A text from Sierra. Where are you? Kyle's looking for you. Says you're being dramatic. Dramatic. I'd paid for an entire wedding, been erased from my own celebration, and I was being dramatic. Another text, this time from Kyle. Babe, where'd you go? We're cutting the cake soon. Don't embarrass me. Don't embarrass him. I looked around the honeymoon suite. Rose petals on the bed, champagne on ice, a Mr. and Mrs. banner that suddenly felt like a sick joke. Then I opened my banking app. My savings account, once healthy at $85,000, now showed $12,000. I depleted everything for this wedding, for a marriage that had lasted 7 hours and was already broken. My fingers moved across the keyboard, but not to cancel the Maldives trip. Instead, I opened a new email to Kyle. Kyle, I'm in the honeymoon suite alone at midnight on our wedding night. You ray downstairs dancing with your ex-girlfriend at the reception I paid $64,000 for while your family contributed $0 and infinite humiliation. I'm not cancelling the Maldives trip. I'm going alone. You're not invited on the honeymoon, and you're not invited into my life anymore. Consider this your notice. I'm filing for annulment on Monday morning. We were married for 7 hours. That's got to be some kind of record. Your family can keep their emotional contribution. I'll keep my self-respect. Don't contact me. My lawyer will contact yours. Audrey NPS. Tell Vanessa she can have you. I'm returning the pearl bracelet. I hit send. Then I called Sierra. How fast can you pack a bag? Why? Because you're coming to the Maldives with me. I have 2 tickets and only one friend I trust right now. She laughed. Are you serious? Dead serious. Flight leaves at 9 a.m. Can you make it? Oh my God. Yes. Absolutely yes. I called the resort next. Hi, I need to change the name on one of the reservations. The groom won't be attending. My friend Sierra Martinez will be using his ticket instead. Oh. I'm sorry to hear about your situation, ma'am. I'm not, I said, and I meant it. I'm actually quite relieved. I changed out of my wedding dress, carefully hanging it in the closet. It was beautiful $11,000 of silk and lace and broken dreams. I donate it. Let some other bride have a happier story. I packed quickly, efficiently, just essentials, my passport, my laptop. Some clothes, I'd buy the rest in the Maldives. At 12:47 a.m., exactly 8 hours after I'd become Mrs. Kyle Hendricks, I walked out of the honeymoon suite, wedding dress left behind, pulling my suitcase toward a future that didn't include a man who'd let me pay for everything while his family contributed nothing but cruelty. The elevator opened. Kyle stood there looking annoyed. Where are you going? People are asking about you. You're making a scene. I'm leaving, I said simply. What? We have a honeymoon tomorrow. I have a honeymoon tomorrow. You have whatever Vanessa's willing to give you. You're being insane. I'm being sane for the first time in 18 months. I stepped past him. Into the elevator. Check your email. And tell your mother I said she can keep her emotional contributions. They're worth exactly what she paid. The doors closed on his stunned face. Sierra was waiting in the lobby, suitcase already packed, grinning like a maniac. We're really doing this. We're really doing this. We took an Uber to her apartment, then to LAX, arriving at 3 a.m. for our 9 a.m. flight. We got coffee, sat at the gate, and Sierra asked the question. Do you regret it? The wedding or the marriage, both. I thought about it. $64,000 is a lot of money. 8 months of planning. All those dreams about building a life together, and it's worth every penny to find out who he really was before I spent the next 30 years with him. I sipped my coffee. The wedding was expensive. The divorce would have been catastrophic. That was 6 months ago. The Maldives trip was spectacular. Sierra and I swam with manta rays. Got drunk on tropical cocktails, laid on white sand beaches, and laughed until our stomachs hurt. Best $18,000 I ever spent. The annulment went through in 8 weeks. California allows it for fraud, and my lawyer made a compelling case that Kyle and his family had defrauded me from the start. I didn't get my $64,000 back, but I did get my freedom. Kyle sent dozens of messages, apologizing, explaining, begging. I blocked him after the first day. His family tried too. Diane called, insisting I'd overreacted. I told her she could contribute her emotional support to someone else's life and hung up. Last month, Kyle got engaged. To Vanessa, naturally. I saw the announcement on Instagram, her holding up a ring, both of them beaming. I hope she's better at wedding planning than I was. And I hope she asks who's paying for what before she empties her bank account. As for me, I'm rebuilding. My practice is thriving, my savings account is slowly recovering, and I'm dating again carefully, skeptically, but hopeful, the pearl bracelet. I returned it with a note, for your emotional contribution, I offer my emotional goodbye, Petty. Maybe worth it. Absolutely, because I learned something valuable for $64,000. Some people see you as a credit card with a wedding dress. And the best investment you can make is walking away from people who devalue you while bleeding you dry. I may have paid for the most expensive wedding in my social circle, but I got the cheapest divorce, and honestly, that makes me the smart one.